Nia's wedding day became her worst nightmare when the man she loved rejected her 30 minutes before the ceremony because she couldn't walk. Abandoned, humiliated, broken. But then a stranger appeared in that chapel garden, a single father who would do something so unexpected, so powerful, that it would rewrite both their destinies. This is what happened next. The sound hit Caleb first, deep, gasping sobs that seemed to tear through the spring air like a wound opening. He froze mid-step, his hand on his daughter's shoulder just outside the side entrance of Starlight Chapel in Savannah, Georgia. It was the kind of crying that made your chest tighten, the kind that spoke of something shattered beyond repair. "Daddy, what's that sound?" 6-year-old Luna whispered, her brown eyes wide beneath her twisted braids adorned with colorful butterfly clips. Caleb hesitated. They were here for a birthday party. His daughter's classmate was celebrating in the community hall at 2 It was May 14th, 2023, a beautiful Saturday morning, and they had arrived early to help set up. This wasn't their business. Whatever was happening around that corner in the side garden of the chapel had nothing to do with them. But the crying continued, raw, desperate, the sound of someone whose world had just collapsed. "Stay right here, sweetheart," Caleb said quietly, positioning Luna by the door. "Don't move. I'll be right back." He walked around the corner and stopped dead. A black woman sat in a wheelchair in the chapel garden, surrounded by fallen white rose petals. She was wearing a wedding dress, an elaborate gown with delicate lace sleeves, and a train that pooled around her wheelchair like melting snow. Her natural hair was styled in an intricate updo with small white flowers woven through the coils. Her makeup, clearly applied with painstaking care, was now streaked down her deep brown skin. She was completely alone on what was obviously supposed to be her wedding day. The woman's hands trembled as they gripped the arms of her wheelchair. Her shoulders shook with each sob. She hadn't noticed Caleb yet, lost in her own devastation, and he stood there frozen, uncertain whether to approach or retreat, whether his presence would be an intrusion or a kindness. The decision was made for him when she looked up. Her hazel eyes met his. And for a moment, they just stared at each other, two black strangers in a southern chapel garden. She looked startled, then embarrassed, then resigned, as if she'd already lost so much dignity today that one more witness to her pain hardly mattered. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice hoarse and broken. "I didn't think anyone would see me out here." Caleb took a cautious step forward. "Are you okay?" The moment the words left his mouth, he wanted to take them back. She was clearly not okay. Nothing about this scene suggested okay. A bitter, hollow laugh escaped her throat. "Am I okay?" She gestured at herself, the dress, the wheelchair, the tears, the garden that should have been filled with wedding guests, but was empty except for the two of them. "Today was supposed to be my wedding day. I'm in my dress. The guests are arriving. And my fiancé just told me 30 minutes ago that he can't marry me." The words landed like a physical blow. "He can't do it," she continued, her voice wavering between rage and heartbreak. "He looked me in the eyes this morning and told me he can't marry me. Not because he doesn't love me, not because we're not compatible, but because of this." She slapped the arm of her wheelchair, the sound sharp in the quiet garden. "Because I can't walk." Caleb felt his stomach drop. "He can't marry someone in a wheelchair." "He can't marry someone in a wheelchair," she repeated, each word deliberate and cutting. "He said he tried. He said he really, really tried to be okay with it. But looking at me in this dress, knowing I'd never walk down the aisle the way we'd planned, knowing our future would be complicated, he couldn't do it. So he left, just walked out of the chapel, left me here in this dress in front of 200 people." The silence that followed was suffocating. Caleb stood there, this complete stranger in a chapel garden, watching a woman's world disintegrate in real time. He'd experienced pain in his life, the kind that carved deep grooves into your soul. But this? Being rejected on your wedding day, in your wedding gown, for something completely beyond your control? This was a cruelty he couldn't fathom. 8 months ago, the woman said suddenly, her voice quieter now, almost detached. I was working at a veterinary clinic. I loved my job. I loved the animals. I was good at what I did. She stared at her hands, at the engagement ring still on her finger, catching the sunlight. There was an accident. A storage rack collapsed on me. The weight, it crushed my spine. The surgery saved my life, but... She trailed off, her jaw tightening. I'm paralyzed from the waist down. I'll never walk again. Caleb's heart cracked a little wider. Grant, my fiancé, he said he'd stay. He visited me in the hospital. He held my hand during rehab. He said it didn't matter, that we'd get through this together. We postponed the wedding for 6 months so I could focus on recovery. He seemed supportive. He said all the right things, and I believed him. I thought he meant it. But he didn't. No. The word came out like a sigh, like the last bit of air leaving a deflating balloon. 3 weeks ago, I started noticing changes, small things. He stopped holding my hand. He'd flinch when he had to help me with the wheelchair. When he looked at me, there was this doubt in his eyes. But I told myself I was imagining it. I wanted so badly to believe he loved me enough. She wiped at her face with the back of her hand, smearing mascara across her cheek. This morning, I was in the bridal room with my sister Imani getting ready. I was nervous, but excited. And then Grant walked in. He wasn't supposed to see me before the ceremony. Bad luck, you know. A bitter laugh. He said he needed to talk, and he told me he couldn't do it, that he'd been trying to convince himself for months that he could handle this, but he couldn't, that he wanted a normal life with a normal wife. The last words came out strangled, and fresh tears spilled down her face. He said he was sorry, as if sorry could fix this, as if sorry could undo the fact that he's been lying to me for months, that he let me plan this whole wedding. Let me believe in us. Let me sit here today thinking I was about to marry the love of my life, when all along he was just trying to find the courage to abandon me. Caleb felt anger rising in his chest, not at this woman, but at the man who'd done this to her, at the cowardice it took to wait until the wedding day itself to break someone's heart, at the cruelty of letting her hope right up until the last possible moment. But anger wouldn't help her now. I'm so sorry, Caleb said, and he meant it with every fiber of his being. The woman looked at him, really looked at him, as if trying to understand why this stranger was still standing here listening to her pain. The worst part, she said, her voice cracking, everyone will understand. They'll say Grant was brave for trying. They'll say it's understandable that he couldn't handle being married to someone disabled. They'll pity me, poor paralyzed Nia, rejected at the altar. For the rest of my life, this will be my story, the bride who was left because she couldn't walk. Nia. So that was her name. That won't be your story, Caleb heard himself say. She looked at him skeptically. How do you know? Because you get to decide what your story is, he said firmly. Not him. Not the people inside that chapel. You. What happened today doesn't define you. It defines him. It shows who he is, and it's not pretty. But it doesn't say anything about your worth. Nia's eyes filled with fresh tears, but something in her expression shifted slightly. That's easy to say when you're not the one sitting in the wheelchair. You're right, Caleb acknowledged. I can't know what you're feeling right now, but I do know what it's like to be abandoned by someone who promised to stay. The words hung in the air between them. Nia studied his face, and Caleb could see her mind working, trying to piece together what he meant. I'm a single father. My daughter. The little girl I told to wait by the door. Her name is Luna. She's 6 years old and she has epilepsy. Understanding flickered across Nia's face. Her mother left us when Luna was 2, Caleb continued, the old wound still tender even after 4 years. She said she wasn't ready for the responsibility, said she couldn't handle the seizures, the hospital visits, the constant worry. She wanted a different life, so she walked away, just like that, left both of us. I'm sorry, Nia whispered. Caleb shook his head. I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I'm telling you because I understand what it feels like when someone you love decides you're not worth the difficulty, when they choose convenience over commitment, and I'm telling you that it says everything about them and nothing about you. Nia's hands had stopped trembling. She was listening now, really listening. For a long time after my wife left, I thought maybe she was right, Caleb admitted. Maybe I wasn't enough. Maybe Luna and I were too much work. Maybe we didn't deserve someone who would stay. But then I realized something. What? Nia asked softly. Love, real love, isn't about finding someone when life is easy. It's about choosing to stay when life gets hard. It's about looking at someone's challenges and saying, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Your fiancé failed that test. But that doesn't mean you're not worthy of someone who will pass it. The garden fell quiet, except for the distant sound of birds and the rustle of Spanish moss swaying in the spring breeze. Nia looked down at her engagement ring. Then slowly, deliberately, she pulled it off her finger and set it in her lap. Grant told me this morning that he wanted a normal wife, someone who could walk beside him, someone whose life wouldn't require accommodations or adjustments, someone easier. Then he wanted the wrong things, Caleb said simply. Before Nia could respond, they heard small footsteps. Both turned to see Luna peeking around the corner. She'd clearly ignored her father's instruction to stay put. Daddy, you've been gone a long time. Then her eyes landed on Nia. They went wide. Wow! You look like a princess. Despite everything, despite the tears and the heartbreak and the ruined wedding, Nia laughed. It was small and watery, but it was real. Thank you, sweetie, Nia said. I'm Nia. I'm Luna. The little girl walked closer, completely unfazed by the wheelchair, the tears, or the dramatic scene she'd stumbled into. Her butterfly hair clips caught the sunlight as she moved. Why are you sad? Princesses aren't supposed to be sad. Sometimes even princesses have bad days, Nia said gently. Luna considered this seriously, then nodded. My daddy always says bad days don't last forever, and that the sun always comes back even after the rain. Caleb felt his heart swell with pride at his daughter's kindness. That's very wise, Nia said. Can I sit with you? Luna asked. You look like you could use a friend. And without waiting for permission, Luna plopped down on the grass beside Nia's wheelchair, reached out, and gently touched one of the white flowers in Nia's hair. These are so pretty, Luna said. Did someone special put them there? My sister did, Nia said softly. This morning before... She didn't finish the sentence, but Luna seemed to understand that something sad had happened. Well, I think you look beautiful, Luna declared with the absolute certainty that only a 6-year-old could muster. And I think whoever made you sad was wrong. Nia's eyes filled with tears again, but this time they weren't entirely sad. She looked at this little black girl who'd appeared out of nowhere, offering uncomplicated kindness with no expectations attached, and something inside her chest loosened just slightly. Caleb watched his daughter and this heartbroken stranger, and he made a decision that would have seemed insane to anyone else. He sat down in the grass, right there in his jeans on the ground beside Luna, making their small circle complete. Nia stared at him in surprise. You don't have to. I know, he said, but I'm going to anyway. And so they sat there, the three of them, in that chapel garden on what should have been Nia's wedding day. The sun filtered through the trees overhead, rose petals scattered around them like fallen snow, and for the first time since Grant had walked out, Nia didn't feel completely alone. "What's your favorite animal?" Luna asked suddenly, her voice bright and curious. Nia blinked, caught off guard by the question. I work with animals, actually. Or I did before the accident. I'm a veterinary assistant." "Really?" Luna's face lit up. "Do you like dogs? We have a dog at home named Biscuit. He's old and he sleeps a lot, but he's really nice." "I love dogs," Nia said. And for the first time that morning, her smile reached her eyes. "Maybe you could meet Biscuit sometime," Luna said matter-of-factly. "He makes people feel better when they're sad. Daddy says that's his superpower." Caleb met Nia's eyes over Luna's head, and something passed between them, an understanding, a connection, a possibility neither of them had expected. Footsteps approached from the chapel, and Nia's sister appeared. Imani looked exhausted, her face drawn beneath her brown skin. When she saw Nia sitting with Caleb and Luna, confusion flickered across her features. "Nia," Imani said carefully, "we really need to figure out what to do. Mama and Daddy are inside with the wedding coordinator. Most of the guests have left, but there's still some people asking questions and—" She stopped, noticing for the first time that Nia wasn't crying anymore. "Are you okay?" "No," Nia said honestly. "But I will be. Give me just a few more minutes." Imani glanced at Caleb and Luna, clearly trying to piece together what was happening. Caleb stood up and offered her a nod of reassurance, a silent message that her sister was safe, that they weren't here to cause harm or gawk at tragedy. Imani seemed to understand. "A few more minutes," she agreed softly. "Then we need to get you out of that dress and go home." After Imani disappeared back into the chapel, Luna turned to Nia with sudden determination. "You know what? I think we should have a party right here. A happy party to make up for the sad one." "Luna," Caleb started, but Nia interrupted. "Actually, that sounds perfect." Luna beamed and immediately started gathering rose petals from the ground, arranging them in a small pile. "These can be decorations. And Daddy, you have your phone, right? Can we play music?" Caleb pulled out his phone, scrolling through his playlist. "What kind of music do princesses like?" Nia's laugh was genuine this time. "I haven't been asked that question in a very long time." "Then it's about time someone asked," Caleb said, and he pressed play. The smooth sounds of a black woman's voice singing about new beginnings drifted from his phone speaker. Nothing grand or dramatic, just gentle soul music and hope. Luna handed Nia a small bouquet of rose petals she'd arranged. "Every princess needs flowers," she said seriously. Nia accepted them, holding the delicate petals in her palm, and something shifted inside her. This wasn't the wedding she'd planned. This wasn't the celebration she'd imagined. But in this strange, unexpected moment, sitting in a garden with a kind stranger and his daughter, she felt something she hadn't felt in months. She felt seen, not as the woman in the wheelchair, not as the rejected bride, not as someone to pity or fix or carefully avoid, just as Nia. "Thank you," she whispered, looking at Caleb. "You didn't have to stop. You didn't have to stay. You didn't have to do any of this." "Yes, I did," Caleb said quietly. "Sometimes the most important thing we can do is just show up, even when it's not our place. Even when it's uncomfortable, especially then." Nia studied his face, the sincerity in his dark eyes, the gentle way he spoke, the ease with which he'd sat down in the grass beside a crying stranger. This man, whoever he was, understood something fundamental about kindness that Grant had never grasped, that it wasn't about grand gestures or perfect words. It was about presence, about staying, about sitting in the mess with someone and not running away. "I don't even know your name," Nia said suddenly, realizing they'd been sitting here for 20 minutes and she'd never asked. Caleb, he said. Caleb Foster. Well, Caleb Foster, you might have just saved my life today. I didn't save anything, Caleb said gently. I just reminded you of what you already know, that you're stronger than this moment, and that what happened today doesn't get to write the rest of your story. They sat together a while longer, the three of them, as the sun climbed higher in the Georgia sky. Luna chattered about school and Biscuit the dog and her favorite books. Nia found herself actually listening, actually engaging, actually feeling something other than crushing despair. When it was finally time to go, when Nia's parents emerged from the chapel looking weary and worried, Caleb stood up and brushed grass from his jeans. I should let you go, but before I do, can I give you something? Nia nodded. Caleb pulled a small notepad from his pocket, scribbled something down, and handed her the paper. It was his phone number. I'm not trying to be weird or inappropriate, and there's no pressure. But if you ever need someone to talk to, someone who understands what it's like to be abandoned by someone who should have stayed, I'm here, even if it's just to listen. Nia took the paper, her fingers trembling slightly. Why are you being so kind to me? You don't know me. Maybe that's exactly why. Because sometimes strangers can offer something that people who know us can't. Distance, objectivity, and the freedom to be honest without worrying about what they'll think of you tomorrow. He knelt down beside her wheelchair, not towering over her but meeting her at eye level, quite literally. Nia, I don't know what your life looks like from here. I don't know how long it'll take to heal from this, but I know you're going to be okay. I don't know how I know, but I do. And when you're ready, whether that's tomorrow or next month or next year, I hope you'll reach out, because I think you're someone worth knowing. Tears streamed down Nia's face, but they weren't the same tears as before. These were different, softer, mixed with something that felt almost like hope. Thank you, she whispered. Luna threw her arms around Nia's shoulders in an impulsive hug, nearly knocking the flower bouquet of petals from her lap. Bye, Princess Nia. I hope you feel better soon. Nia hugged her back, this precious little girl who'd shown up and simply loved without conditions or hesitations. Bye, Luna. Thank you for my party. As Caleb and Luna walked away hand in hand, Nia sat there with the piece of paper in her hand. She looked down at it, at the phone number, at the name written above it in neat handwriting, Caleb Foster. She didn't know if she'd call. She didn't know if she'd ever see him again. She didn't know anything, except that for the first time since Grant had walked out, she didn't feel completely broken. Her father approached, his face etched with concern and barely suppressed rage at Grant. Sweetheart, let's get you home. Nia nodded, folding the paper carefully and tucking it into the bodice of her wedding dress, right over her heart. As her father wheeled her toward the parking lot, she glanced back at the garden one more time, at the scattered rose petals, at the place where a stranger and his daughter had sat with her and refused to let her be alone. And she thought, maybe this isn't the end. Maybe it's just the beginning of something I didn't see coming. That evening, as Nia sat in her apartment, finally out of the wedding dress, wearing comfortable clothes, her locks unpinned and loose around her shoulders, her phone buzzed. She picked it up, expecting another message from Imani or her mother checking on her. Instead, it was an unknown number. Hi, Nia. It's Caleb. I just wanted to make sure you got home okay. No need to respond if you're not up for it. Just wanted you to know someone is thinking of you. Nia stared at the message for a long moment. Her first instinct was to ignore it, to throw the phone across the room and crawl into bed and never come out. But something stopped her. The memory of Caleb sitting in the grass, the sincerity in his eyes, the way he'd spoken to her, not with pity, but with respect, the way Luna had called her a princess and meant it. Her fingers moved almost of their own accord. I'm home. Thank you for today. For stopping. For staying. It meant more than you know. She hit send before she could change her mind. 3 minutes later, her phone buzzed again. I'm glad, and I meant what I said. If you need someone to talk to, I'm here. No expectations, just a friend who gets it. A friend. When was the last time someone had offered her that without wanting something in return? I might take you up on that, she typed. Fair warning, I'm kind of a mess right now. Aren't we all? Came the reply. Get some rest, Nia. Tomorrow is a new day. She set her phone down and leaned back against the couch, exhausted, but no longer drowning. The apartment was quiet. The wedding that should have happened was over. And yet somehow, impossibly, she felt the tiniest flicker of something in her chest. Not happiness, not yet. But maybe, just maybe, hope. The days that followed were brutal. Nia had to return wedding gifts, field calls from concerned relatives who'd heard what happened, deal with the pitying looks from neighbors. Grant sent one text. I'm sorry. I hope you understand. She didn't respond. Instead, she deleted his number and blocked him on every platform. But through it all, Caleb texted, not constantly, not intrusively, just there. How are you today? Saw a dog that looked like it had opinions, made me think of your vet work. Luna wants to know if you're feeling better. She drew you a picture. Can I send it? Each message was a lifeline, a small reminder that someone out there saw her as more than the tragic wedding story. On the 5th day, Nia found herself actually looking forward to Caleb's texts. They'd started talking more, not about Grant or the wedding, but about everything else. Books, movies, the challenges of single parenthood, the frustrations of physical therapy. Caleb told her about Luna's latest school project. Nia told him about her therapy sessions, about the anger she felt, and Caleb never tried to fix it. He just listened. 2 weeks after the garden, Caleb sent a different message. Luna has a school event on Friday. Just a little art show. She asked if you'd want to come. No pressure at all. Nia stared at the message. Going out, being around people, it terrified her. But something about the simple invitation made her want to say yes. What time? She typed. 6 p.m. at the elementary school. Fair warning, there will be juice boxes and very enthusiastic children. Nia smiled, the first real smile since the garden. I think I can handle that. Friday arrived too quickly. Nia agonized over what to wear, finally settling on jeans and a comfortable sweater. Simple. Real. The school was buzzing when she arrived, parents admiring artwork, children running past. And there, near the back wall, was Caleb. He spotted her immediately and smiled, warm, genuine, relieved. You made it, he said. I almost didn't, Nia admitted, but Luna invited me, and I don't break promises to 6-year-olds. Luna appeared, face lighting up. Nia, you came! She threw her arms around Nia, and Nia hugged back, feeling something warm and healing. I wouldn't miss it, Nia said. I heard you made a painting. Come see! Luna pulled her toward a small easel. The painting was abstract, swirls of color with bright sunbursts, in the corner, in careful handwriting, When Bad Days End. It's beautiful, Nia said softly. Tell me about it. Well, Luna began seriously, the dark colors are the bad stuff, like when people are sad. But see the yellow and orange? That's when the bad day is ending, and good things start happening. Because Daddy always says bad days end. They always do. Nia felt her throat tighten. Your daddy is very smart. For the next hour, Nia found herself swept up in simple joy. Luna introduced her to friends. Caleb stayed close but not hovering. When parents gave curious looks, Caleb didn't make a big deal, just treated her like anyone else. As families left, Caleb walked Nia to her car. Thank you for coming, he said. Luna hasn't stopped talking about you. She's an amazing kid, Nia said. "You're doing something very right." Nia looked at him in the fading light. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything." "Why? Why did you stop that day? Why are you still here?" Caleb was quiet, choosing his words carefully. "Because 4 years ago when my wife left, I felt completely alone, like I was drowning and everyone was watching but not helping. I promised myself I'd reach out if I ever saw someone drowning. I can't fix my past, but I can show up for someone else's present." Nia felt tears gathering. "You saved me that day." "You saved yourself," Caleb said gently. "I just reminded you that you could." Over the following weeks, kindness evolved into friendship. They met for coffee, talked about everything. Nia volunteered at an adaptive animal therapy program. Caleb and Luna showed up with a sign, "We're proud of you, Nia." Watching Caleb with the therapy dogs, Nia felt something stir, attraction, interest, possibility. But she pushed it down, too soon, too complicated. 3 months after the garden, Luna had a seizure. Caleb called at 2 a.m., voice tight with panic. "I'm on my way," Nia said immediately. She arrived 40 minutes later, found Caleb in the waiting area looking exhausted. Nia wheeled over and took his hand. "She's okay," Caleb said. "The doctors say she's stable, but it was bad, Nia." "But she's okay," Nia said firmly. "She's here. You're here." They sat together until dawn. When Luna was released, Caleb drove Nia home. They sat in his car outside her building. "Thank you," Caleb said quietly, "for showing up." "That's what friends do," Nia said. But as she said it, she realized friend wasn't the right word anymore. Somewhere between the garden and now, something had shifted. She was falling for him, and that terrified her. 6 months after the garden, Caleb invited Nia to the park. As Luna ran around, Caleb turned to Nia. "That day at the chapel, you were at the lowest point, and look at you now. How did you do it?" "Honestly," Nia said, You showed me I was worth showing up for." Caleb was quiet. "Nia, I didn't stop in that garden just to be kind. Over these months, I've realized something. I'm falling in love with you." The world tilted. "I know it might be too soon," Caleb continued. "But I needed you to know. I don't want to be your friend anymore. I want to be more." Nia kissed him. She leaned forward and kissed Caleb Foster with everything she had. When they pulled apart, Nia laughed, pure joy. Yes, I'm falling for you too." Luna ran back. "Why are you both smiling so big?" "Because today is a very good day," Caleb said. "Finally!" Luna exclaimed. "I've been waiting forever for you two to kiss." The months that followed weren't perfect. Nia had bad days, but Caleb was there, always. He adapted his car for her. He learned about accessibility. He introduced her as his girlfriend with pride. They built a life together, authentically. 1 year after the garden, Caleb took Nia back to Starlight Chapel. The garden was filled with white roses. He knelt beside her wheelchair, taking her hands. "Nia, a year ago, I found you here on the worst day of your life. I've watched you transform pain into strength. You've shown me what it feels like to be truly seen." He pulled out a small velvet box. "The first wedding dress was meant for the wrong person. I want to give you a new memory, one where someone kneels beside you because they genuinely cannot imagine life without you." He opened the box. "Nia, will you marry me?" Luna appeared holding a sign. "Will you be my bonus mom?" Nia sobbed with overwhelming joy. Yes, 1,000 times yes." 3 months later, they married at Starlight Chapel. Nia wheeled herself down the aisle, giving herself freely. When they kissed, Luna cheered loudest. As they left, Nia looked back at the garden. A year ago, she'd believed her life was over, but she'd been wrong. The wheelchair hadn't stolen anything. It had revealed everything. It showed her who truly loved her. Grant had left because he saw her wheelchair as a barrier. Caleb had stayed because he saw Nia as the life he wanted, and that made all the difference. If this story reminded you that your worthiness of love is never defined by circumstances, share it. Hit that like button if you believe real love shows up, because sometimes the worst day of your life is the doorway to the best chapter. Sometimes rejection from the wrong person makes space for the right one, and sometimes a stranger in a garden becomes the love you never saw coming. This is Nia and Caleb's story, a reminder that real love doesn't walk away when life gets hard. Real love sits down in the grass and stays.